Hey everyone, I don't even know where to start with this. I've been sitting here for hours, staring at this screen, trying to put words to something that feels like it's ripped my chest open. I had to put my dog down today. His name was Tucker. He was only 4 years old, this scruffy little mutt with a lopsided grin and the kind of energy that could light up a room. He was my shadow, my buddy, my everything. And now he's gone because my neighbors, people I've lived next to for years, poisoned him. I don't know how to process this. I don't know how to stop crying or stop feeling like I failed him. I just need to get this out, I guess. Maybe writing it down will help me breathe again. Tucker came into my life when I was 19. I just moved out of my parents' place, this scrawny kid with no real plan, working a dead-end job at a hardware store and living in a crappy one-bedroom apartment with peeling paint and a leaky faucet I never got around to fixing. I wasn't looking for a dog, honestly. I could barely take care of myself. But one day I was walking home from work and saw this little ball of fur darting through traffic. Cars were honking, swerving, and he was just zigzagging around like he didn't have a care in the world. I don't know what made me do it, but I ran out into the street, scooped him up, and that was it. He was mine. Or maybe I was his. He was a mess at first, chewed up my shoes, peed on the carpet, barked at every shadow, but he was mine. I named him Tucker because it just felt right, you know? Like he was this tough little guy who'd tuck himself into my side every night. He had these big, soulful brown eyes that could guilt me into sharing my dinner, and a tail that wagged so hard it'd knock stuff off the coffee table. He made that shitty apartment feel like home. He made me feel like I wasn't alone. Fast forward a few years, and we built a life together. I got a better job, still not glamorous, but it paid the bills, and moved us into a little house on the edge of town. It had a yard, a real yard, with grass and a rickety fence I kept meaning to fix. Tucker loved it. He'd spend hours out there, chasing squirrels, rolling in the dirt, barking at the wind. I'd sit on the porch with a beer and watch him, and it was like all the stress of the day just melted away. He was my peace. Then, about a month ago, things started getting weird with the neighbors. They're an older couple, maybe in their 60s, and they've always been kind of standoffish. I'd wave, they'd nod, that was it. But lately, they'd been glaring at me over the fence whenever Tucker barked. I get it, dogs bark, it can be annoying, but he wasn't excessive. Maybe a few yaps if a delivery guy showed up or if a raccoon got too close to the trash cans. I'd always apologize, tried to keep him quiet, but they started leaving notes on my door. "Control your mutt," one said. "Barking is a nuisance," said another. I thought they were just grumpy, you know? I didn't think they'd do something like this. Last night, I let Tucker out into the yard like usual. He was chasing his tail, doing those goofy zoom eyes he loved, and I was laughing at him through the kitchen window while I made dinner. Then he started yelping. Not his normal bark, this high-pitched, panic sound I'd never heard before. I dropped everything and ran outside, and there he was, thrashing on the ground, foam coming out of his mouth, his eyes wild and terrified. I've never felt panic like that. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold him. I scooped him up, got him in the car, and sped to the emergency vet, running every red light, screaming at him to hold on. The vet took one look at him and said it was poison. Antifreeze, maybe, or rat bait, something fast and brutal. They tried everything, for fluids, pumping his stomach, but he was too far gone. His little body was shutting down, and I could see it in his eyes, this confusion, like he didn't understand why he hurt so bad. I held him, sobbing into his fur, telling him I loved him, that he was a good boy, the best boy. The vet gave him the shot, and I felt him go limp in my arms. Just like that, he was gone. My Tucker was gone. I don't know how long I sat there, holding his body. The vet staff had to practically pry me off him. They were kind, but I could barely hear them over the roaring in my head. When I got home, I found it, the evidence. There was a chunk of raw meat tossed over the fence into my yard, half-eaten, stinking of something chemical. I knew it was them. The neighbors. Who else would do that? I marched over there, banged on their door, screaming until my throat was raw. They didn't answer, but I saw the curtain twitch, saw her face peek out for a second before disappearing. Cowards. I called the cops, filed a report, but they said it'd be hard to prove without a confession or a camera catching them in the act. I don't have cameras. I never thought I'd need them. Now I'm kicking myself for it. I keep replaying it, every moment I could have done something different. If I'd fixed the fence, if I'd kept him inside, if I'd confronted them sooner. I feel like I let him down, like I didn't protect him when he needed me most. He trusted me, and I failed him. Today's been a blur. I buried him in the yard, under the big oak tree he loved to nap under. I dug the hole myself, my hands blistered and bleeding by the end, but I didn't care. I wrapped him in his favorite blanket, the one he dragged around the house like a security blanket. I put his chew toy in there too, the squeaky one he'd carry in his mouth even when it was falling apart. I just stood there after, staring at the dirt, feeling like a piece of me was down there with him. The house is so quiet now. No jingle of his collar, no paws clicking on the floor, no snuffling at my hand for a treat. It's suffocating. I don't know how to move forward. I keep seeing his face, those big eyes looking up at me, and I break all over again. I'm so angry, at them, at myself, at the world. I want them to pay, but more than that, I just want him back. I'd give anything to feel his head on my lap one more time, to hear him bark at the mailman, to watch him tear around the yard like nothing could stop him. He didn't deserve this. He was innocent, just a dog living his life, and they took him from me. I don't even know why I'm posting this. Maybe I just need someone to hear me, to know he existed, that he mattered. Tucker was more than a pet, he was my family. If you've got a dog, hug them extra tight tonight, okay? You never know when it's the last time. Thanks for reading this mess. I'm sorry it's so long. I miss him so much.